Ohio. Marianske Lazne, the resort in the Czech Republic, is located in the west of the historic area of Bohemia. Population 14083 people as of 2005. Marianske Lazne is the medical resort, thanks to existence of the cold sources of mineral water having curative properties here. History. The place in which there is the second largest resort in the Czech Republic of Marianske Lazne today in ancient times were swamps and perfectly barrens. Poznan's nobleman has founded in 1197 the monastery in the settlement of Heat, under the administration of which there was also a territory of modern resorts. Monks were the first who have noticed a salty source in the forests and even tried to receive salt here. This salt has been successfully sold as laxative later. Meanwhile, about curative effects of mineral waters, different rumors have begun to be spread, and the first patients have gone to sources. Locals did not trust the resort. At the time of government of the Empress Maria II Theresa, mineral waters were again analyzed, and during this period the name Marienbad also for the first time appears. Creation of the spa was carried out by the honored Dr. Johann Joseph Neberg, the monastic doctor who in 1779 has convinced the abbot and several monks that they tried a spa procedure. He has found out that if to accept water several times in day, digestion returns to normal, the taste of food is stimulated and the dream improves. The monastery had to fight for obtaining necessary permissions for construction of the resort building till 1786. In 1812, Marienbad has been allocated as separate municipality from the settlement of Ushovice and has received the status of the resort place in 1818. The name Marienbad has been received according to the first spa building constructed at Maria's source. This source was known long ago. Because of a strong smell, it is called smelly. The abbot Karel Kaspar Ratenberger, who at the beginning of the 19th century has begun construction of resort houses and pavilions, was responsible for further development of the resort. In 1820, Marianske Lazne was visited by the German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who came 2 more times here and has endured in 1823 the late love affair with the young girl Ulrike von Lützow. He has been very excited with a local environment, and has called the abbot Ratenberger that construction of resort houses continued. He also recommended to local doctors to apply modern methods of treatment in addition to traditional resort medicine. Goethe's presence in Marianske Lazne has had very beneficial effect on attendance. Many wealthy clients have begun to visit the resort. The opera composer Richard Wagner has found tranquility and inspiration in Marianske Lazne. It worked on 2 large operas here, namely Lohengrin, Summer of 1845, and The Master Singers of Nuremberg. In 1897 in Marianske Lazne there has for the first time arrived future British monarch Edward VII. Why princes have decided to visit these resorts, it is unknown. However, right after the first visit, Edward has fallen in love with Marianske Lazne and in total came 9 times here. The British king has paid world attention to Marianske Lazne, which changed every season to accommodate the increasing number of guests. The majority of buildings were reconstructed and expanded during this period. Marianske Lazne also became the venue of several political negotiations. In September 1899, the decision in the questions preceding the Boer War in South Africa has been made. On August 16, 1904 in Lazne Hotel, the Emperor Franz Joseph I and the British King Edward VII have gathered on an official meeting. In the next years between Great Britain and Russia, Bulgaria negotiations have taken place. During World War I, development of the resort has been suspended. Before World War I, Marienbad was one of the most luxurious resorts not only Austria-Hungary, but also the whole Europe. There were monarchs. Nicholas II, Edward VII. Composers. Chopin, Wagner. Writers. Both has written the Marienbad Elegy, Ivan Goncharov here, the novel of fiascos. In July-August 1839, Nikolai Gogol in Marienbad has dictated M.P. Pogodina a fragment from the first edition of the story, Overcoat. The Pogodinsky manuscript with Gogol's changes is stored in Rap. After World War I and creation of Czechoslovakia, guests have again returned to Spa. Sharp growth of traffic has attracted more visitors, and resorts had to solve problems of placement. But there has soon come the economic crisis, which has again stopped development of the city. World War II, fortunately, has almost not affected the city, and therefore the resort nature of the city has remained. During so-called Crystal Night 1938, Nazis have destroyed the Jewish synagogue. The ground, after destruction of a synagogue on the main street, remained empty up to now. In 1945 in Marienbad, the headquarters of the Air Force of the Russian Liberation Army was located. The Air Force of Co. After retreat of the German residents of Marianske, Lazne was partially destroyed city. The expressed turn in development of the city has come only after 1989. However, some historical buildings remain firm to this day, for example, with a spa complex, the Caucasus at Gove Square, in which there lived the British King Edward VII. The city appears in the name of one of the major movies in the history of cinema, Last Year in Marienbad, 1960. For the Russian tourists in the 19th century, Orthodox Vladimirskaya Church has been constructed. In spite of the fact that sources were known to locals in the 13th century, only at the end of the 18th century the doctor of the Topolsky monastery Johann Joseph Ner systematically has begun to study their medical action. And only at the beginning of the 19th century the gardener Vaclav Skalnik, the architect Fisher and builder A tournament in the inhospitable marshy place have created the charming garden city with houses in style of classicism and an empire style, with arbors, pavilions and colonnades. Unusual impressions are left by musical and light composition of the modern, the singing fountain. Today the city lives in the basic tourism again. Other economic industries include agriculture, forestry and food. Very known Lazne wafers from Opavia. Marianske Lazne is directly on a railway and road route Pilsen-Heap. In Marianske Lazne, near Sklasy, there was an airport which at the time of the greatest glorious communication with Russia, but after skyjack in the 1970th years the airport has been closed. Today it serves for the recreational purposes and for business of excursion runs over the city. Dominant of Marianske Lazne, first of all, spa parks which do the city by one of the most beautiful garden cities in Europe. Vaclav Skalnik, who worked as the landscape architect here, has taken care of these natural pearls. Very significant building in the city is Maxim Gorky's colonnade since 1888-1889. On the project of architects Mikshin Nidzalski. The pig iron design has been cast in iron houses of Blansko. A unique decor, the wooden cassette ceiling and wall frescoes, belong to 1979, their author, the academic artist Joseph Wileto. On the resort square it is possible to find the singing fountain which each odd hour plays one of many known and well-known melodies. In the evenings music is followed by luminous effects. The city is located in the valley to the south from the reserve, Slavkovsky Forest. In the downtown there are parks. From the north on the south the Yushevitsky stream which is in the adjustable course proceeds. Other part of the city is built up. From east slopes to the city the stream also flows. The climate in the city and vicinities is affected by height and arrangement in the west, that is, the climate is closer to oceanic. The summer here, as a rule, rather more cold, is also more damp, winter moderately cold. Average annual temperature is plus 6.4 C, and in the hottest month of July it is plus 16 C, and in the coldest January of 3.1 C. These digits are average values for 1901-1950. Duration of sunlight is 1670 hours a year. Annual precipitation makes 700 tum, that is a big indicator on average in the country. Here obviously the western winds which make 46% of a flow prevail. To the contrary, at least about 5% air flows within a year from the north. Influence on a microclimate has a large number of parks and forests, both in the city and in vicinities. Trees purify air, regulate humidity, soften and enrich air with oxygen. Flora. During the visit Johann Wolfgang von Goethe studied flowers. In 1835 the herbarium to Saxon Prince Frederick Augustus II, who has included 512 plant species, has been prepared. Treat local plants: a Volchaegodnik ordinary, Erica grassi, a lungwort medicinal. It is possible to find also a primrose high, a bannerberry eared, a reservoir ordinary, a lily of the valley. Treat protected species of local flora: an iris Siberian, a Kupolnitsa European. Fauna. In the neighborhood of the city the red deer, the European roan, a boar meets. Here too there is a dappled deer, a fallow deer, a badger and different types of squirrel. Over the area the ordinary buzzard, the ordinary kestrel, an eagle owl, a sparrow-horned owl fly. Earlier here the woodgrass lived. In the neighborhood of reservoirs live an oleapka and an ordinary halcyon. For the winter here from the north the spirostil arrives to winter. Here too the crossbillowick and a big motley woodpecker meets. In waters there lives a sazan, a pike and seldom a bream. The last bear has been shot in Kinshartsky forests in 1698. In the neighborhood of Marianske lays 100 mineral sources with the maintenance of a carbon dioxide gas and mineral salts, from which 53 sources are used beet. These are first of all cold ferrous acids, with various chemical composition. For therapy the following 6 main sources are used. Prost Rudolf F. Carolinen Forest Ambrose Evan Ferdinand F. Maria's source, which has given the city the name, now only the vacuum gas pump which extorts a carbon dioxide gas. Sources and their curative properties were known long before foundation of the resort to residents of neighboring villages. Treat other sources of Marianske Lazne. Alexandrine, Antoninav, Balbinav, Hamalika and others. At the beginning of the 17th century, sources have begun to spill in barrels and a container for bathtubs for nearby monasteries. These waters, according to monasteries and heat, were called thermal acids. 200 years later, at the beginning of the 19th century, Marianske sources have begun to export. In 1818, 75,000 jugs of local water were exported to the remote cities. Besides, in Prague and Vienna their warehouses have been still created. Also, export to Germany, to Weimar, has begun. Mineral water spread in clay banks from 20 to 35 ounces, which have been complemented with handles. They have been for the first time made in Hebe, further in Kinshprik Nadogashi. In 1823, Uditopolski Monastery has opened the own plant in Marianske Lazne, where to import necessary raw materials from Loretta. By 1840, about 6 million jugs with water have been exported. To 1845, their annual quantity was nearly 600,000. Natural sources. For medical procedures, natural remedies, the cold acid sources applied to drinking treatment, inhalations and preparation of carbonaceous and mineral bathtubs, and also peat, dirt and natural medical gas, so-called Marian gas, are used. According to a census of 1921, 6,909 people lived in 442 houses, from them there were 3,900 women. 320 inhabitants have reported about belonging to Czechoslovak nationality, 6131 to German and 67 to Jewish. There lived 6183 Roman Catholics, 197 evangelists, 1 member of Czechoslovak Hussite Church and 495 Jews. According to a census of 1930, 7,202 persons lived in 512 houses. 518 inhabitants have reported about belonging to Czechoslovak nationality and 6,310 to German. There lived 6,479 Roman Catholics, 179 evangelists, 39 members of Czechoslovak Hussite Church and 405 Jews. This city consists of 6 local parts, namely Gomriki, Hotanevsklarski, Bilaying, Stanovište, Yushovice and Marianske Lazne. Each of parts forms separate unit and all city. The modern territory of Marianske Lazne belonged earlier to the village of Yushovice, which was one of the most important communities. Marianske Lazne of 772 hectares has been brought from Ushevitz after 1818. After construction of the railroad and the railway station in 1872, the station in Ushevitz has received the name Marianske Lazne. Around the Shona Hotel, Chenov, later Shumava. Constructed in 1838, and around the areas of Chenov, Belevu, the area the station and the backlash have grown. To the west from Marianske Lazne there is Road I/21. Through the city road 2/230, which connects it to Bekovemna Teplo in the northeast and Running Plana in the south, runs. On this road 25-27 vehicles a day move. In the southern parts of Marianske Lazne, the northern direction of Road 2/215/215, which the city connects to the village of Velka Gledseed, departs from this road. According to the statistics of 2010, 9618 cars passed during the day on this road. Marianske Lazne lie on the free transit corridor of the railroad Plzeň Heap. The station of Marianske Lazne was reconstructed between 2008 and 2011, including the historical building. On the route trains of Heap Pilsen Prague and back time at 2 o'clock go. There is a railway route Karlovy Vary, Marianske Lazne. On this route, designated in Schedule No. 149, there is still a stop of Marianske Lazne, the city. Near Marianske Lazne 3 airports in turn functioned. The first, in Velká Gledíp, the second, on Panské Fields, functioned only within the 1920th. In 1927 the airport in Skłarsky, who worked until the end of the 20th century, has been put into operation. The first plane has flown by over the city on August 4, 1912. Urban transport. Since 1902 to Marianske Lazne there went trams which have been replaced with trolleybuses in the 1950th years. After 2000 it was discussed also about their cancellation. There are no hindrances in this plan now. Offers for replacement of trolleybuses by buses constantly are returned. Recently 5 low-floor trolleybuses with own motor have been acquired that allows to go even without electricity. In 2009 both lines and routes of the established connections and also expansion of transport service to nearby villages and the cities have been changed. Between Kolin's hotels and Krakonoshty Road, which operator anymore not, the urban transport of Marianske Lazne, and the Skiria company also runs. Now belongs to the private company Snowhill. In honor of the city of Marianske Lazne, the Ocean Marienbad liner has been called. The ship, managed by Austro-Hungarian shipping company, Austrian Lloyd, has been floated in 1913, and interiors have been decorated with city pictures. Education. In the city there are 2 9-year elementary schools, 1 elementary school special and 1 elementary school of arts. In 2013 educational activity has also begun private elementary school and the family center specializing in the children demanding individual approach. Public high schools too. Business academy and hotel school. Besides, in the city the private academy of riding works, and during the period from 1994 to 2011 the private high school of narcologists also worked. On September 1, 2006 there was a merge of a gymnasium to high vocational school of economy and also hotel school. Culture of the city. In the city there is the West Czech Symphonic Orchestra, the oldest symphonic orchestra in the Czech Republic. 45 professional musicians are the main part of orchestra today. Since 1820 in the city there is a theatre. The classical stone theatre has been constructed in 1868, soon after receiving Marianske Lazne the status of the city. The theatre has been solemnly opened on August 17, 1868, on the eve of a birthday of the Emperor Franz Joseph I. For the time the theatre was very modern, with outstanding acoustics. In 1952 the theatre has been renamed into Theatre of Nikolai Gogol on the occasion of celebration of Days of the Russian Literature. The Western Symphonic Orchestra Marianske Lazne, the oldest symphonic orchestra in the Czech Republic. Its history ascends by 1821 when the abbot of the Topolsky Monastery and the founder of Marianske Lazne K. Ratenberger has allowed creation of orchestra. Sports orientation. In 1991 in the neighborhood of the city there took place the Summer Sports Orientation World Cup. In this championship the Estonian Orienteeravchik Sixten Sild has won a medal, the first for the USSR, in a men's individual race in the World Cups. Education. In the city 6 kindergartens, 4 elementary schools, 4 high schools and schools. Also in the city the Center of Institute of Language and Vocational Training of Kolev of the University for Training of Foreign Entrants for Training in the Czech Higher Education Institutions operates on chemical, medical and biological faculties of Kolev, Masarykova of the universities, the Higher School of Chemical Engineering and others. Marianske Lazne art. In 1824 Goethe has written the poem Marienbad Elegy. Roman Shulam Alikima Marienbad. This city appears in the name of one of the major movies in the history of cinema, Last Year in Marienbad. 1961. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.